It's a sobering statistic that the UK has 1.5 million fewer computer programmers, known as coders, than it needs. Given the high potential earnings in the tech industry, the accelerating number of tech startups, and the East of England's excellence in digital and tech industries, that's a gap that we in our region are well placed to address. And I found out how the East is training up the next generation of coders when I visited Fuel Studios in Norwich for the demo day of Tech Educators, which runs coding boot camps aiming to empower people from all walks of life to begin successful new careers in the tech industry. So first of all, can I grab your name? Because I missed that part when I came in.
Yes, absolutely. Leanna.
Leanna.
Yes.
Leanna.
Lucas.
Leanna Lucas.
And pop star name.
It is a very good pop star name. And what I really liked about the story you were telling up there was really about sort of, and I just popped it on LinkedIn's grit and determination against the odds, and that was really kind of, you weren't being deterred by anything. First of all, tell us about your app.
So my app that I've coded this week, because we only had a week to do our final project. To be honest, I had 2 days, so it was very stressful. My app's called Wispy, and the idea is it's a mental health app to use on the go. So it includes things like breathing exercises, daily check-ins and mood trackers, and it works with an NHS API, so it takes external information from the NHS website and gives you real information on mental health conditions.
Yeah.
So if you meet somebody and you find out, they've got this condition, you can go onto your Wispy app and you can click it and it gets real information from NHS about that condition.
Right. Okay, and that's really important that we've got those kind of apps, because I think some of them can be quite sort of clinical, and when you and I speak from some experience that when you're in that place, you want to feel relaxed and comforted. So what you were obviously sort of working in an area that wasn't where you wanted to be. So what drew you to Tech Educators, and what made you sort of take that step?
So I've always been somebody that works with people, so I've always been in sort of customer-facing jobs and customer service jobs, but unfortunately those jobs usually do pay minimum wage, well, in my experience anyway, they have. And usually just sort of when you're getting that sort of pay, a lot of the time you're just not being valued as much, or a lot of companies I've worked for in the past haven't sort of valued my personal growth, and that's something that I really wanted, was a career, something that I could advance in, that I could grow in. And I started to code at home because I actually met somebody that is a female coder, female software developer, and she's a senior software developer, and she's making 6 figures in London, and she's really happy, she loves her job. And I've always been into tech. I always used to game. My best friend's here today, we love to play Sims, we game all the time together, and it's always just been something that I've loved. So I thought, why not give it a go? Started coding at home. Tech Educators ended up working outside of my office, so it just felt like fate, really.
Yeah.
And I went for their 101 day course, which I would really recommend anybody attending if you have any interest in tech, because it's so creative, and that's something that I didn't think it would be as creative as I am, but it is 100%. There's so much design involved, and like user interface and user experience design involved, that it's really creative and fun. And I loved it so much that I applied for the scholarship, was awarded the scholarship, and then I've now got a job at Aviva as a software developer. So
that's amazing. I think I've seen that on LinkedIn, some photos of yourself celebrating that you've, how is it for you to work? How does it make you feel to work in an area you've coveted working in for obviously for quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, it feels a bit like a dream, you sort of, you go to university and you have this idea as a kid of what you want to do when you're older, and when you get older you sort of realise that's not always realistic, and it's not always the case.
Yes.
And the world becomes quite scary, and it can cause quite a bit of anxiety if you don't have a path, that you feel like you're set on a path. And for me, the coding has just set me on a path now, and everything's sort of aligned in my life, and I feel like I have I can see my future. I can see myself being a senior developer. I can see myself making more money, maybe even buying a house one day, you know. My partner and I are now going to be able to move in together, and I'm going to be able to get my driver's license, and it's just opened so many opportunities for me.
So just to talk about sort of the Norwich tech space, how important has it been for you to be in in a sector and in a creative atmosphere like the Norwich digital and tech sector?
Incredible. I mean, the tech community in Norwich is amazing. The amount of support that I've received, and just people who are just really interested in helping me with my personal and professional growth is just outstanding. Like, I never thought that I would experience such positivity, especially as a woman coming into a male-dominated industry. You know, it can be a bit intimidating because you can think, am I going to be as accepted as you know, as in customer service jobs, for example, where it's mostly female-dominated. And everyone is just, you know, I mean, the men in the tech industry, they recognise that there's a gap, and they just want to make it more inclusive, and they just want to help people. I mean, Alex is my mentor, Alex Scotton. I'm sure you've met Alex before.
I probably have.
He runs Nordev.
Yes.
Yeah, so I actually had the opportunity to go to the Nordev Con and introduce myself to literally everyone there, and I have got such a huge sort of backing of people that I've met there, and a huge sort of connection with everybody now in the tech community. I'm now in the process of co-founding a company called Femtech, where we are going to we're actually going to give workshops to everybody about women in tech, and we want to promote sort of the work that women are doing in tech, and it's going to be great. We're going to have our first networking event here in a few weeks. I'll make sure to let you know about that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure you'd love to come along.
Yes, definitely.
So it's just opened so many doors for me.
I mean, that's fantastic, and to know that you've had that kind of support, and rightly so. And it really is exciting. It's interesting, and it's great to know that Norwich is a crucible for those things. I think I would imagine that you get a lot of that in places like Martlesham and in Cambridge, and I was in Colchester a couple of days ago. So it's fantastic. We've got these very different but empowering spaces for tech and creators in the east of England. We're really glad you're here in the east of England. We're really glad that you're pushing, making a career here, and all power to you. Thank you, Leanna.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you. Well, do you know what? I am thrilled to be here in the presence of James Adams. It's just James Adams, isn't it? Yeah. Because I get confused by LinkedIn, easily confused. James Adams, who is a man who is so dynamic. If we could connect, let's connect cables to James Adams, and we can power the region indefinitely. He renders any interview obsolete within 5 minutes of its ending. Such is his levels of dynamism. James, thank you for speaking to me. What an amazing event. Tech educators. Tell me quickly, where did that come from? Because we've heard so many really empowering, uplifting stories of people who are determined to better themselves, better their lives, their families' lives. Let's be fair, sometimes against the odds, and succeeding, and before they've even actually finished the course. Some of them are going on to, they've already been snapped up by Aviva, who obviously got an eye for talent. Where's this all come from?
I think the point is in the region, Mike, we speak a lot. The thing that you're doing is all about Eastern Promise, and the point is that the Eastern region has so much potential and so much great talent and so much opportunity to produce great things, but like the rest of the country, we don't have enough developers. We don't have enough people that are going to turn these great ideas into code that's going to power the change that the world needs. And there's a real gap, in the amount of tech talent that's required and the amount that we're producing. And we've got some amazing people producing amazing talent in the region. The comp sci undergraduate, postgraduate, universities such as City College and University of East Anglia, etc., it's producing great talent. The issue is that demand is outstripping supply. And I think where tech educators comes from is the fact that not everyone wants to go to university. not everyone wants to put themselves in that position of 3 years because maybe they don't like the idea of a classroom environment that's more traditional, they don't feel the course is right for them, or whatever their reasons, or ultimately maybe they can't afford to do it or didn't get the academic grades to do that. And ultimately our mission is to, fair access to all to education in tech. And the idea came about, like, if we're going to build great businesses that are going to change the world tomorrow, we need tech talent learning and applying their trade in great businesses that we have in the Eastern region today, and we don't have enough of it. So Tech Educators was created really to bridge that gap.
Every time you start again. When I put out my interviews on LinkedIn, I make a little poster and put one of the most inspiring quotes I can find I've got in the interview up there, so people can see, the mettle of the person I'm talking to. And you've just given me, like, a boatload, a month's load. But, what impresses me is the fact that you saw that gap, and you've got people up there saying quite freely, oh, I drive a digger during the day, and why not? Why not him? Why? Absolutely he should be here. Yeah. And, you saw that gap, and you didn't exploit it. You sort of went, okay, how can we fill this gap and find the people that the sector needs, not who aren't going through the traditional routes, and get them in there and make it work for them. And the people I've spoken to, community was the word that came up, family. How do you do it? How do you just spot that? Are you there's a word I use, and there's about 2 other people I can think of, in the Eastern region who fulfill the title futurist. But it certainly seems like you do.
Thank you. I guess is the first thing. I don't know. I think it's very easy to create something that you believe in, right? And it's very easy to create a community when you surround yourself with great people. And it's very easy to have an impact when you are about action. And I think we're all of those things. And this community is all of those things. I'm very lucky that I get to be the one at the front that gets to talk to amazing people about how great we are and what great things we're doing. But it's not me that's really doing them. I guess we're just bringing together those great people. The demand for people being able to cross-train into tech has always been there. People who are looking at their life and the work they either are or aren't doing, and understanding and envisioning what their life could be. We always want to try and strive to be the best person we can be. I think the thing that we've really done to the capacity that we can do it, given the resources that we have, is just offered those people that opportunity. And once you do that, they're the ones that take it. So I'm flattered for the compliment, but in all honesty, all we've done is created the framework and the path for people to do that. And it's amazing. You give people the opportunity, they will outstand you time and time and time again. And all we've done really is create the environment for people to do that.
Well, I'll probably edit what I said there, because I was starting to come across like I'd got a bit of a man crush. So
I think we've got a mutual one.
Oh, thank you. That's that's all right. So yeah, and you've always curated our atmosphere here at Fuel Studios in Axella. Whenever I watched this video about the gaming sector, and there was Fuel Studios again, and it's such a creative and empowering space. Especially here we are on the 5th floor in the very well known. What is this space?
Communal area.
Communal area. It's a very well known communal area, and all power to your elbow. We're going to come to expect great things from James Adams, simply because he keeps on hitting it out the park. So keep on coming strong. What else have you got in the pipeline aside from Tech Educators, or is this like you're consuming your every moment at this precise point?
No, I think the whole point again of Axella and the community we're trying to build here is we want to be the place where if you've got an idea and you're in Norwich, Norfolk, or even the East, and we're aligned to your values, is this where I can go and build a great business? And we've been a little bit quiet on probably talking about the businesses we've got coming through, because we've got some announcements coming up that I probably can't talk about. But yeah, ultimately we're here to support that community, and there's more to come always. You know that.
I do. Dizzying pace of change coming out from Axella. And Vodafone, business champion. You kept that very tight-lipped, and all of a sudden there you are, getting this very nice plaque or gong from Vodafone. How did that feel?
Yeah, like it's really interesting here. People talk about sort of imposter syndrome in tech, and I guess, you know, for Vodafone to have recognised what we're doing was incredible. You know, any accolade is incredible. I always say though, you're only ever judged on the last thing you've done, and whilst we're starting to do great things, and of course we're massively appreciative of Vodafone for recognising us, it's what are we going to do next, and that's the real impact. And you know, being here at a demo day for tech ed and students going out and getting jobs is another thing that we can tick off and say, you know, that's fantastic, and today is all about that. But it's about what do we do tomorrow, and how do we keep having impact, and how do we not fall into a trap of talking about impact other than doing it.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. And, you know, Eastern Promise is so pleased to stand with the East of England, the Norfolk, the Norwich tech sector. All power to you. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Congratulations to Leanna Lucas and everyone who's graduated from the Tech Educators Bootcamp. And particular thanks must go to the human dynamo, James Adams, everyone at Accela, and the lovely folk at Fuel Studios. Always a pleasure.